I watched my sister slice into her wedding cake, the knife gliding through what looked like perfect vanilla buttercream. She lifted that first ceremonial bite to her new husband's lips, and I held my breath. In 3 seconds, 200 guests would witness the most humiliating moment of her life, and she deserved every second of it. I'm so glad you're here. If you're watching this video, please like and subscribe to my channel, and tell me in the comments where you're listening to my story of revenge from. I want to know how far this tale of sisterly betrayal has traveled. I stood at the back of the reception hall, my hands steady despite the earthquake happening in my chest. The string lights twinkled above like stars mocking the darkness I'd discovered 3 weeks ago. My sister Emma looked radiant in her stolen dress. Yes, stolen. The one our grandmother had hand-sewn for me before she died. The same dress Emma swore she'd never seen when I tore apart my apartment looking for it. But there she stood, wearing my inheritance, marrying the man who was supposed to be my business partner, in the venue I had booked for my company's launch event. The discovery started with a simple mistake. Emma had left her laptop open at my apartment when she came to comfort me after my business partner Marcus mysteriously pulled out of our tech startup, taking all our investors with him. She'd held me while I sobbed, her voice sweet as honey. "Rachel, you're so talented. You'll bounce back from this. Marcus was never good enough for your vision anyway." The laptop screen had gone dark, but when I touched the trackpad to move it aside, her email blazed to life. The subject line made my blood freeze. In phase 3, complete. She suspects nothing. I shouldn't have read it. Every moral fiber in my body screamed at me to close that laptop, but my fingers moved like they belonged to someone else, scrolling through an email chain between Emma and Marcus that documented 6 months of calculated destruction. They'd been meeting in secret, not just as lovers, though the attached photos made that clear enough, but as conspirators. Marcus had been feeding Emma every detail about our startup, our revolutionary app design that could change how small businesses manage inventory. She'd been selling our codes, our concepts, piece by piece to a competitor while pretending to support my dreams. But the worst part wasn't the theft. It was the cruelty. In one email, Emma had written, "Rachel always thought she was the smart one because she went to MIT, but who's smart now? By the time I'm done, she'll be serving coffee at the bakery while I'm running her company under a different name. Mom always said I was prettier, but Rachel was smarter. Let's see how smart she feels when she's got nothing left." My hands shook so violently, I nearly dropped the laptop. The sister who had braided my hair for prom, who had held my hand at our father's funeral, who had been my maid of honor at my first wedding, she had orchestrated the complete annihilation of everything I'd worked for. 5 years of 18-hour days, of eating ramen to save money, of missing family gatherings to code until my eyes burned. All of it destroyed by the person I trusted most. I took photos of everything, my phone camera clicking like a weapon loading bullets. Email after email revealed the depth of their plan. They had sabotaged my meetings with investors by having Emma call them beforehand, posing as my assistant to reschedule at impossible times. They had infected our main server with malware that corrupted 3 months of development. They even staged Marcus's dramatic exit right before the biggest pitch of our lives, leaving me to face a room of skeptical venture capitalists alone. The final email was dated just 3 days ago. "After the wedding, we'll launch the app under Marcus's new company. Rachel will never be able to prove it was originally hers. I've made sure of that." I sat in my empty apartment. I'd sold my furniture to keep the startup afloat, and stared at those photos until my eyes burned. The room was dark, except for the glow of the laptop, illuminating a truth I wished I could unsee. But then, like a gift from the universe, I noticed something else on her calendar. Emma's wedding venue booking, the Grandmont Estate, the same date I had reserved for my company launch event before mysteriously losing the booking due to a clerical error. That's when the plan started forming, crystallizing in my mind like sugar hardening into glass. Emma had taken everything from me, my company, my future, my dreams. But she'd made one mistake. She'd put me in charge of her wedding cake. The base was architectural. 4 tiers of perfectly carved industrial soap, the kind that looks exactly like white cake when shaped correctly. I'd spent hours watching YouTube tutorials, learning how to sculpt and smooth until it was indistinguishable from actual sponge. The buttercream was a masterpiece of chemistry, whipped soap mixed with oils and cornstarch until it achieved the exact consistency of Swiss meringue. I tested it 12 times until it could hold a peak, take food coloring, and even develop that slight crust that real buttercream gets. The decorative roses were perhaps my finest work. Each petal, crafted from sheets of soap so thin, they were translucent, layered with a touch of edible luster dust that I knew would survive exactly one bite before the truth revealed itself. The golden leaves were real gold leaf, because even in revenge, I maintained my standards. I added one special touch. Inside the top tier, hidden beneath the pristine white surface, I'd embedded a small waterproof device that would play a recording when disturbed. My voice reading every email Emma had sent about destroying me. The night before the wedding, I delivered the cake to the venue. The staff praised its beauty, how it looked exactly like the photo Emma had provided, because, of course it did. I was always the talented one, even when crafting instruments of destruction. "Rachel," Emma had squealed when she saw it, "it's perfect. You're so gifted. I'm so lucky to have you as my sister." I hugged her, breathing in her expensive perfume, bought with Marcus's signing bonus from the company that now owned my code. "Anything for family," I whispered. The morning of the wedding, I sat in the back row of the church, watching Emma walk down the aisle in our grandmother's dress. She'd had it altered, of course, taken in at the waist and shortened because she was smaller than me. Always had been. The delicate beadwork our grandmother had sewn by candlelight during the Depression now sparkled under the church lights, blessing a union built on the ashes of my dreams. Marcus stood at the altar, his smile wide and genuine. He'd lost weight, gotten a better haircut, success suited him. My success suited him. The ceremony was beautiful. Emma cried perfectly, single tears that didn't disturb her makeup. Marcus's vows included the line, "You showed me that sometimes the best things come from taking chances, from being brave enough to reach for what you really want." The congregation sighed. I bit my tongue until I tasted blood. At the reception, I watched from my exile table, table 12, with the cousins no one really talks to, and family friends who felt obligated to attend. Emma and Marcus sat at their sweetheart table, feeding each other appetizers and laughing at private jokes, probably about me. About how stupid I'd been, how easy. Then came the moment, the cake cutting. The photographer gathered everyone around. 200 phones came out ready to capture the sweet moment for Instagram. The DJ played their song, Perfect, by Ed Sheeran, because Emma had no imagination even in her music choices. Emma picked up the silver knife, another family loom she'd borrowed from my apartment. Marcus put his hand over hers. They pressed down together, the blade sliding through my perfect creation with a soft resistance that perfectly mimicked real cake. She lifted the piece, I'd made sure the soap was firm enough to hold its shape, and held it to Marcus's mouth. He bit down. The change was instant. His face contorted, his mouth opening in shock and disgust. He spat, gasping, reaching for water, but Emma, sweet Emma, was already taking her bite, her teeth sinking into what she expected to be vanilla and rose water, but was instead the bitter, chemical taste of industrial cleaner. She screamed, not a delicate cry, but a guttural, primal sound of shock and revulsion. The cake piece fell from her hand, hitting the floor with a wet splat. And then, as Marcus disturbed the top tier, trying to steady himself, my voice rang out from the hidden speaker, clear and damning. Rachel always thought she was the smart one. Let's see how smart she feels when she's got nothing left. The room erupted. Guests gasped. Phones that had been recording the sweet moment now capturing Emma on her knees, spitting and crying, her makeup running in black streams down her cheeks. Marcus was bent over, dry heaving into a champagne bucket, while my voice continued reading their emails, each word a nail in the coffin of their reputation. After the wedding, we'll launch the app under Marcus's new company, someone screamed. Multiple people were calling 911, thinking they had been poisoned. Emma's mother, my mother, stood frozen, her face white as the fake cake, listening to her daughter's confession of corporate theft and family betrayal. I stood up from table 12 and walked towards the chaos. Emma saw me through her tears, her face a masterpiece of ruined makeup and dawning realization. "The recipe called for soap," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "But don't worry, it's non-toxic, unlike what you did to me." I dropped a flash drive on the gift table. "Your wedding present," I announced to the room, "contains every email, every document, every piece of evidence about how Emma and Marcus stole my company. The FBI Cybercrime Division already has a copy. They're very interested in the interstate wire fraud charges." Marcus lunged towards me, but two of my cousins, big men who'd always been protective of me, stepped forward. He stopped, his face green from soap and fear. "You destroyed everything I built," I said to Emma, who was still on the floor, her stolen dress covered in soap and tears. "My company, my future, my faith in family. But you forgot one thing. You were never the smart one." I walked out of that reception hall with my head high, the sound of chaos and revelation behind me. My phone was already buzzing with messages from former investors who'd seen the live stream disaster. One venture capitalist who'd ghosted me after Marcus's sabotage wrote simply, "I believe I owe you an apology and a meeting." By morning, the video had gone viral. Bride eats soap cake after corporate theft exposed was trending on every platform. Emma and Marcus's new company folded before it could launch. The FBI investigation led to charges that would keep them in court for years. The competitor who'd bought my stolen code quietly reached out to negotiate purchasing it legitimately from me, the actual creator. I rebuilt my company from the ashes Emma had left me. It took 6 months, but I launched the app under my own name. The press loved the story of the woman who'd been betrayed by her sister and business partner, but came back stronger. We got coverage in TechCrunch, Forbes, even the Wall Street Journal. My investors returned, bringing friends. Emma sent me a letter 6 months later. I burned it unread. But sometimes late at night, when I'm coding in my new office, the one with the view of the city I dreamed about since MIT, I think about that moment. The look on her face when she bit into that perfect poisonous confection. The way her wedding became the backdrop for her downfall. She took everything from me, but in the end, I took the only thing that mattered to her. Her image, her reputation, her carefully constructed lie of a life. The soap cake was petty, vindictive, probably illegal in some way I haven't discovered yet. But as I look at my company's numbers climbing, at the life I rebuilt from scratch, at the sweet taste of success that no amount of soap could ever ruin, I regret nothing. Did you enjoy my story of sisterly revenge? What would you have done in my place? And which city are you watching from? Let's meet in the comments below. If you liked this story, please consider sending super thanks so I can keep bringing you more tales of justice served cold, or, in this case, beautifully frosted. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. You can see 2 more recommended stories on your screen now. Until next time, remember, revenge is a dish best served as wedding cake. With love and respect, I'll see you in the next story.